We'll put it like that.
Nice.
What's it like? I was actually there in attendance in Cleveland for Cove's first career NFL touchdown, which was awesome. And,
Awesome.
It was a great game. You could hear me on camera. I was just screaming, "Say it ain't so, Cove! Say it ain't so!" Sadly, from there, the game kind of went off the rails a little. That was the last high moment of that game, but it was a great game. Overtime loss, fun time.
Yeah.
But how was that moment for you? Seeing the first, whether it was on TV, in person, wherever you were, seeing his first NFL touchdown. How was that?
Well, dude, I mean, we were at home because it was a away game. We don't travel to a lot of the away games because we can get into that later. But, to watch that and to think I wished I was there live. So to have your video was so cool. And just say, this is so cool. I mean, that was so cool for us. Catching it from Tom Brady, right? Like, he's got the ball yet. I mean, first NFL touchdown means a lot, right? I mean, as a dad, that's just so cool to see. And it was fun to watch. And, it didn't have the outcome we wanted, but still the same. What a memory! What a memory to have, right? So,
and honestly,
cool.
those. One of the best guests ever, the Buccateers in the house tonight. You guys hear him on Tampa radio all the time. He's one of the best in the business. My favorite personal in the business. That's why I'm elated tonight. Growing up in the Chicago area, you're used to sports radio. That's what gets me through the day. So this man does help get me through the day, I will say, with the Pat and Aaron show at work. Nothing like it. So it's incredible. It looks like we got Stunna bumbling in. I'm Tampa Tones. We are joined by lead goon tonight, host of the Pat and Aaron show of WDAE, Pat Donovan. And it sounds like Stunna is bumbling a little bit. Going to put him on mute for a second until that gets a little clear. But we're joined by Pat Donovan.
It looks like Stunna's hanging out with Cheech and Chong in a car with the windows up or something over there.
It does look like you got a little...
No, my camera's broke.
And he was trying to pull me in big time. And then I was like, nothing's happened with Indianapolis yet. Like, I really want to give Indy a chance. And then also I talked to Cody Gruden, once he took over Rich McCann, I'm still like, well, look, I was like, y'all just give me the opportunity to explore free agency, see what's going on, and then can I make us do it.
All right, everyone, you are tuned into the Buccateers at wide receiver, Kalen Geiger, and we are about to have a great pod. This is the Buccateers. You're tapped in, and here we go. Howdy ho, howdy hey, how the hell is everybody? Welcome back into a Tune Me Up Tuesday here on the Buccateers podcast, where we're getting everybody ready for the big game this Sunday at Seattle. Time to be decided. If you haven't heard yet, we'll get into that and so much more here on the pod. Another defensive player hits injured reserve for this already banged up Buccaneer football team. Sad news there. Bucs sign a new safety. The clash of uniforms. Cubs win and so much more. Welcome in, J-Lo. Cubs victory. Love to see it, my friend.
No, absolutely. A great way to start the week. The Cubs getting a playoff victory. Many more to come. But, hey, it's a start. I'll take it.
Bud Cannibalist, howdy to you, Bud. Welcome into the program, my friend. As always, love having you here, chatting with us here on the Buccateers. The great Richard T. Happy Taco Tuesday. Happy Tuesday to you, Zach. I don't know if you're having tacos or not, but hey, cheers to that.
Yeah, no tacos today, unfortunately, but excited to be here and talking some Bucs ball with you fellas.
Always a pleasure, and a lot of Bucs ball to talk about on this Tuesday. And if you guys missed it, Zach and myself had a great episode of the newly improved fall schedule episode of Man Cave Monday yesterday, and that was a lot of fun. We talked about memorabilia, certificates of authenticity, how to photo match items, and a lot more. So it was a lot of fun, and I think we have Katz in. Katz, how you doing, brother? Long time no see, my friend.
Yeah, I had a great time on Wednesday podcast. Good to be back here on Tuesday as well. Unfortunately, it's not off a win, but they weren't going 17-0.
Yeah, and if you missed that as well, Katz and I had a great show. Go check it out. We do a history show once a month. Katz and I will be coming at you with Tampa sports history. Last week, Katz and I gave our top 5 coaches list of all time in Buccaneers history. So much love for the players for the 50th season. Katz and I decided to show some love for the coaches on the field, and Katz and I ranked our guys differently and damn near had the same exact list. Go check it out for yourself. The same 4th or 1. He ranked his in terms of time. I ranked mine in terms of worst to first, I guess, even though there's no worse on that list. But we ended up with the same 4th or 1, and we ended up with the same honorable mention. And I already can't wait for the next one. So we're locked.
Might I add, Jones, that after there are 6 coaches in Buccaneer history that are worthy of anything, and then once you get to 7, it's a pile of crap. I mean, I'm just keeping it real. I mean, when you get to 6, you got to get into, never mind.
If
we ever want to do a, do we ever want to do a show?
6 through 15.
I think 13. I don't know, but that would be a show if we're all self-loathing one day and want to get some laughs out of some of the badder times. If we feel like laughing at ourselves, then we could do that one.
Yeah, Dirk Cutter for the... No, I'm just kidding.
Gosh.
He doesn't belong on any top list. Olive in the house. Hey, wow, have the whole crew. We love our lady listeners. Welcome into a Tune Me Up Tuesday. Cats, Bucs by 30. J-Lo Tampa Tones here to get you guys ready for the big one on Saturday, celebrating a big Cubs win here as well. And fellas, we do sadly have another Buc heading to IR. Obviously, it's been a big thing of late. A lot of offensive linemen heading to IR. Keefe, tight end, went to IR. D lineman Kalijah Kancey, a couple rookies defensively, David Walker, J.J. Roberts. List goes on and on and on. If you talk about the guys who aren't on IR, Godwin Evans, you could go for days and days. Today, Buccaneers safety was active for 2 games this season, had a handful of tackles. Rashad Wisdom, you could see behind me, got a Wisdom down there, but Rashad Wisdom is heading to IR. Now, the good news is it seems to be short-term IR, according to guys like Rick Stroud and Greg Allman. It's not season-ending by any means. But, Zach, here's another tough blow for a defense that's already running a little thin, especially with all the uncertainty following the MRIs Todd Bowles talked about just a day ago.
Yeah, it almost seems like we're losing one a week to IR or some sort of injury. I've been really busy today, so I haven't got to see all the wires. We get any update on Jamel and Morrison and Bucky?
Cats? Hold on, you're muted. Let me unmute you. What did you say, Cats?
Yeah, nothing on Dean or Bucky, but there was good news on Benjamin Morrison and Greg Gaines. News on Morrison was that it's not expected to be anything long-term. We'll see whether this week, I don't know, but it's not long-term. That's especially because I thought he played an excellent game last week when he came in.
Yeah, Morrison.
Cole said it's too early, but that he's still, waiting to see what tests come back. But the news on Morrison was good. Nothing on Jamel Dean but Greg Gaines.
A little bit of breaking news as well, not injury related, but Buccaneers related. Then Zach, you could jump back in. The Bucs, we all know they worked out a punter. They also worked out a long snapper today. Iowa grad Luke Elkin was in there, and if you guys noticed, the long snap and special teams in general has been a big issue. So, Zach, what Kat said holds true. Mm-hmm. And also Bucs working out punters, long snappers, and it seems like everybody in between.
Yeah. No, I was going to agree with Katz and say I really have been enjoying the rotation between Dean and Morrison. I think it's given us the best of both of them, and I think that competition has really ignited Dean, and his plays on the field has kind of reflected that.
That pick six still lives in my head. That was incredible against the Jets, and I love Baker saying he caught it. J-Lo, thoughts on what the Bucs are doing, although Rashad Wisdom on injured reserve, at least Benjamin Morrison may be back this week, but regardless, another Buc lost to IR, Rashad Wisdom.
It's very unfortunate. Rashad Wisdom made the roster. and now he's gone for at least 4 weeks because it sounded like it was short term. So Benjamin Morrison, and watching him live, the kid just balled out. He looked, I mean, just watching going out there, shutting down one of the top receivers in A.J. Brown. I mean, it's very unfortunate with the hamstring. I didn't even know about the hamstring injury until I saw the report from Peter Report the next day that, hey, he pulled a hammy. I'm like, chinga, I mean, come on. I mean, this kid just can't catch a break. But for the most part, injuries happen. It's just we got that bad injury bug, and I trust in life that he'll find the right players to fill in, in the meantime while we wait for the recoveries to happen.
Bud, only what we've alluded to, a couple of punters worked out. Zach and I talked about those punters yesterday on the Man Cave Monday show. Go check it out. And then today, a long snapper worked out, as we said as well, former Iowa grad. And the Bucs do love themselves some Iowa. Let's just make that clear. But Bucs did work out former Iowa grad long snapper Luke Elkin, no signing. So Evan Deckers, Riley Dixon, presumably safe for at least another week. Cats, do you think it's 1 week to clean up the play and then they might be in hot water? What say you in the special team situation that's arisen?
Yes, I think they're going to try to clean up the operation. Whether first, like Todd Bowles said, it's attention to detail. You got to execute it. Whether you have to the punter take a step a yard back, whether you need to go into what is called a punt block safe, where of course that limits your ability to cover the punt. But at least you're going to get the punt off. At least let your defense fight to play another down versus a block punt turn for a touchdown. That can't happen. It's happened twice now. And this time it bit us. It didn't bite us against Houston or the Jets. Bit us now. What I'll say about the special teams, I do have to give them a little credit here. Chase McLaughlin has been money ever since week 2. They were able to block well enough for him to get off a 58 and a 65-yard field goal. Those didn't get blocked, and those usually do. So it's just, and the returns from Cam Johnson, outstanding. It's just a matter of that punt team, and some of Dixon, the coverage on those has not been great. And Dixon's just, I tell you, he takes a long time back there. About everything I can say, he takes a while too. That doesn't help.
Yeah, it's like a big, long wind-up for an old-time pitcher. And Christopher Cole joining in. Go, Cubs, go. 1 down, 12 to go. Yes, sir, 12 more to go. And to build off Cat's point, Dixon holds onto the ball very long, as Greg Allman kind of helped discover with some statistics and stuff like he always does a great job of. And then special teams coordinator Thomas McGahee has a bad history of getting kicks blocked as well. So a little surprised there by the Bucs front office to not do a little bit better due diligence on that front when you pair two weaknesses together. But hey, Bucs have proved that they're loyal a little bit, and if you don't fix it, they had 3 punters last year. They won't be afraid to do it again this year, even with the $3 million guaranteed tied to Riley Dixon. I think 1 or 2 more bad kicks, whether it's shanks, whether it's punts that just don't go very far in general, or block punts, I think he's going to be skating on thin ice. So we'll see if Riley Dixon gets back on track this week. Could be his last week to do it, but we'll see. Hopefully not, because a lot of people were excited for that signing, and it's a shame because preseason and week 1 he really did look okay. We're live here on the Buccateers. J-Lo, you're catching a little grief in text right now, deservingly so. J-Lo, you want to explain yourself for wanting to rest the starters potentially out of the half against the Eagles on this past Sunday, huh?
Heat exhaustion would definitely, push fans, especially myself, which I'll eat crow right now. With the way the first half went, I felt like the defense, if they scored another touchdown in the third quarter, even with that long field goal, which I witnessed history twice now as a Bucs fan.
Longest outdoor field goal in NFL history.
Amazing feeling. It was amazing. But I will say, I'll eat crow. You shouldn't rest your starters. I was just a frustrated fan because the first half, for fans like me, you got to realize that the first half and second half. In the second half, they showed a lot more fight and a lot more grit. So, to me, you don't give up on your stars and rest them right away. But at the end of the day,
I'm just having fun. And at least you were at the game, and emotions are high. But you never rest them unless it's the fourth quarter and a couple drives or less, perhaps, or you're literally down like 40 in a game. To me, you just never – now, if guys aren't hustling out there, they roll over, they're giving up on plays and stuff. That's a whole different story. But the way this Buccaneers team's orchestrated, and it's honestly been like this probably since 2019, even with Jameis, but ever since Bruce Arians got here, this team's just never really been out of football games, and you can't really count this team out. So, it's a great day to be a Bucs fan, although it's a loss Tuesday, not a victory Tuesday. We're still here full of pride as we enter this big weekend's game at Seattle in a battle of 1976 jerseys. Going to look awesome out there if you're a jersey fanatic like ourselves here on the program. It's going to be a very fun game. It's eye candy, people call it. So, Zach, the battle of 76, the battle of the uniforms. Thoughts on this game? I know we just saw the white creamsicle a couple weeks ago, but I have no problems with it making a return this soon.
Yeah, I don't have any problems with the uniforms. I think that's going to be it's going to be a nice retro look from both teams. I'm more concerned about some of the things that are going to take place in those uniforms as opposed to the way the uniforms look themselves. You got Seattle coming off of a Thursday night game, so they got a couple more days to get some rest and preparation. And then just, observation, we got San Francisco next week, and they're coming off a Thursday night game. So back-to-back games where the opponent has a couple extra days to prepare doesn't bode well, especially when you factor in our history with Shanahan. But in this Seattle game, man, they've got a tough running game. Darnold's been playing a lot better. Cooper Kupp's over there. Cooper Kupp's kind of been a thorn on our side for a bit. And Jigba's solid. So if we don't have Dean and Morrison and we've got a patchwork together the secondary like we have been the offensive line so far, it could be a long day. But I think we can pull it out, especially if we we get lucky on these injuries.
Yeah, and how about JSN? He is special. He's one to watch on Seattle. And how about all these Ohio State wide receivers, Garrett Wilson, JSN, and Emeka Egbuka? You could go on and on and on around the league and just point to so many Ohio State wide receivers. One day soon, we're going to have a little fun project, probably in the off season when there's less topic to talk about, but we're going to go back. One of us will get LSU. One of us will get Alabama, one of us will get USC, and one of us will get Ohio State. And you're going to have to go back and study the wide receivers because those are the big four of producing wide receivers. And we're going to have a battle on who is the cream of the crop when it comes to wide receivers, not only of the past decade or two, but of all time out of those big four universities. So that would be a lot of fun. And it would be, good off-season talk. But we're in the middle of the season, damn it. No time for that. Right, J-Lo? And what say you on the battle in 1976, brother? Uniforms, on field play, whatever you want to get to.
No, absolutely. I enjoyed watching the uniforms a couple of weeks ago. We're at the game live. I'll enjoy it more watching on TV against Seattle. It just brings back a lot of history. Even with Seattle, when they came in the league with us in the same year, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to motivate the players, get them over the hump. I think it's going to be a good battle. Just the battle of the 76 season, battle from 76. Let's do it.
Katz, I know you're a big history buff. You're a big history guy. Real quick, Richard says stop the run and put the game in Darnold's hands. He's decent, but not the guy to put the game on his back. We kind of seen at the end of the year last year in Minnesota a little bit more pressure on him. He kind of collapsed a little bit, but I will tip my cap to Sam Darnold on the revival he's had, much like Baker Mayfield. It is impressive. Speaking of impressive, if you're watching on YouTube right now, that's impressive, but hit the like button, subscribe button, turn that notification bell on. You'll never miss a show. But Katz, our history guy, thoughts on this historic battle of teams being in for 50 years? And by the way, our 1976 patch blower is out of the water. I'll just say that.
Yeah. I haven't seen theirs. I think it's great that the two teams kind of basically collaborated on this to do this matchup and wear those jerseys. It should be very aesthetically pleasing. We don't know yet what time the game's actually going to start. I did hear that Kevin Harlan is calling this game. I'm a big fan of his, so excited to have him on the call. The game, both these teams allow under 100 yards rushing per game. They both stop the run well. I think Mike McDonald, you could see, I think the Ravens kind of miss him. If you look at the Ravens, I know they're injured, and you look at Seattle's defense, they've been playing a great ball. So he's doing a fine job. But if you can, again, you stop the run. If Morrison and or Dean do play, I think our secondary can do the job. I'm tired of seeing the other team, however, score on their opening drive. That's you would think that'll regress the other way at some point, and you got the double whammy last time because they scored without a drive. But that Levante addressed the team about that because you can't keep spotting the opponent 7 points and kind of counterpunching. You got if you don't have to score in your opening drive, you got to make sure that they're not. And this is a game. I hate to say it, it's probably going to come down to who makes the extra mistake. I think the teams are evenly matched. And in the Philly game, the Bucs made 3 glaring mistakes, 2 turnovers, and a block punt. The Eagles didn't do anything on offense in the second half, but they didn't make any mistakes either. It comes down to Seattle has turned the ball over 6 times, by the way, and they've created 7. The Bucs have turned it over twice and created 2, and that created turnovers of 2. That's the one thing the defense needs to start to up the ante on that because they've only created 2 turnovers.
Our guy Bud says can't leave it in the refs' hands, and to piggyback off Kat's point, especially with that game being in Seattle, cross country, that's tough enough for this Bucs team. That's 3 time zones away. So on top of being evenly matched, now you're probably at a disadvantage with them time zone wise because you're the one traveling in, just like if Seattle was coming to Florida. And element number 2, we don't know what time the game's even going to be yet. So that's another factor into things. The Mariners have a home game that Sunday, a playoff game. They share parking lots, much like the Rays and the Bucs did this year. We know that the Bucs and the Rays had to play a little bit of Jenga with their schedules as well. So we'll see what that aspect might be. And just their fans, the loudness of the stadium, the 12th man in general, crazy, crazy, crazy stuff. But this Bucs team has the guys it takes to overcome. Shout out to our guy, Matt Bauer, watching with us live on Facebook right now here on the Buccateers. Thank you for that. And I do want to say I love this during the throwback weeks. They've done it ever since we've had throwbacks now. This is the 3rd year of the creamsicle return, and now the white creamsicles are back. Minimum of 3 weeks Warren this year, obviously against the Jets, Seahawks, now Thursday night Atlanta. You never know if more, but all the social medias, Buccaneers.com, Monday they leave it up as the prior week, so it's normal theming on a Monday, but then Tuesday the week after they change it to all the throwback, the logo, the background, the fonts and everything on Bucs.com and social media, and same if it's normal. And then Monday they'll leave it for the post-game interviews, recaps, and then Tuesday start the new week in their book, To Me Up Tuesday. Wonder where they got that from, but pretty cool stuff. That's one of the things I love about the throwbacks, just how much the Bucs embrace it. Half these other teams, I know they wear throwbacks, but they don't do this sort of cool stuff. They don't go all out on their social medias. They don't deck out the stadium like it's literally the old sombrero. So I do want to tip my cap to the Bucs in that aspect, whether it's the people who plan the design of the field, all the way to the people who run the social medias, all the way to the people that hand their website programming. Tip of the cap, well done. You guys really embrace the throwbacks and the 1976 feeling, and a lot of teams don't do that with their throwbacks. So that's good stuff there, in my opinion. Bud Cannibals, I'll be at the December 11th Creamsicle Falcons game. Hey, apparently, remember the media said we can't beat the Falcons and we can't win in the throwbacks and we can't win in prime time. So Bud, we probably have a 0% chance to win that game. So don't bother going. Just stay at home. We won't win anyways. Market is a loss, according to the media. And it's all good. That's what they want us to do anyway. No, I'm kidding. We're going to kick their ass. We're going to get payback. But speaking of payback, Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, Zach, kind of the same story, getting a lot of payback. Now you see Daniel Jones. If he could be consistent through the whole year, he's on the verge of it, but if he does the same thing, Justin Fields showing some signs at a 50-yard touchdown run yesterday. Zach, did Baker Mayfield, followed by Sam Darnold, kind of make a blueprint on how these young QBs could rejuvenate their careers in this league? And maybe, back in the old day, nothing against the Blaine Gabberts of the world, the Christian Ponders, the Jake Lockers, but you used to be a first-round bust and you were kind of just tossed to the woodshed. Now, if you're a first-round guy that doesn't live up to the expectations, maybe your career is not so done, and that's maybe thanks to guys like Mayfield and Darnold.
Well, I think a lot of it comes down to the guy, right? If they cut Baker or traded him to Carolina, he could have held out, he could have pouted. Even when they stuck him on the scout team running DN, he could have went to the media and gave up and kind of been a diva, but he didn't. He kind of campaigned for his release, got a second opportunity that season in LA and kind of revitalized his career with that, and then came to Tampa on a modest deal, right? It was a lot of humility there to come in here, take this deal, and then rebrand himself. So I think it is more about the guy than it is the draft status. But what it really does show is that these franchises draft these kids and give up on them way too quick. Coaching, culture, all that stuff matters in their development. And they're so quick to throw them out there and so quick to label them a bust. And we don't know. Some of these kids that came through Cleveland that didn't have that resolve might have been better somewhere else. I mean, how many first-round quarterbacks did Cleveland have in a 10, 15-year span? That one guy on social media has a jersey that has all those quarterback names on the back of them, and goodness knows where they could have what they could have done at a different franchise. But that all that stuff matters: coaching, culture, opportunity, patience. I said it on here before. I'm a fan of drafting a kid and letting them sit a year to get acclimated to the NFL. I think it's a disservice sometimes to throw them out there, especially if you don't have a line to protect them, like Cam Ward. That kid's getting wrecked down there in Tennessee, but he seems to have the resolve to kind of handle it. But David Carr did not, and it cut his career short because that franchise wasn't ready for a franchise quarterback.
And that's why I kind of do, although it wasn't a long time, I do respect the Browns' approach to Dillon Gabriel, at least to let him learn the elements of the Browns' offense, realize what you're about to be playing with out there. And now after 4 weeks, you could at least learn the patterns of the line a little bit. Not that it's going to improve line play, but at least the kid got to see a little bit. I hate when they throw him in way too early. They're in over their head. I think the Saints are doing the smart thing with Tyler Shuck as well. So we'll see if it pays off. But QB development, Brandon Weeden, Brady Quinn, Johnny Manziel, Tim Couch, Deshaun Kaiser, those are just a handful of first and second round quarterbacks this Browns team took, gave up on right away, and that was the end of their careers. So we'll see. Speaking of we'll see, J-Lo, we'll see you later. I know you got to bounce right now, so we'll give you your final word, brother, for the show. Good luck with your daughter's thing tonight. That's going to be a lot of fun. Final thoughts on the show and final thoughts on Mayfield Darnold.
No, much appreciated. Gotta go attend my daughter's course. Can't leave her hanging. She's working very hard, especially to be there. But I will say the Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, on the same team, I'm just happy for both of them, rejuvenating their careers, find different spots, getting paid pretty good for the most part. You can't give up on them. You can't give up on them so easily, like Zach mentioned. You gotta give it time to develop. And to me, I feel we got our guy quarterback with Baker Mayfield, and I can say he's thanking to the Panthers for giving up on him so easily and releasing him for the most part. But in the meantime, I'm out. Their guys keep crushing it. At the end of the day, we got a whole nother week. Creamsicle, Buccaneer football. Let's go. Tune into campus kickoff. I will be tuning in this week for it. And it's going to be a fun time. Let's go. Take care, guys.
Yeah, we'll see you on the campus kickoff tomorrow. It'll come out to preview your biggest week of college games yet. So the great J-Lo, thank you for everything you brought to the table tonight. Cleve and me, what it do, fam? High off the Cub dub. Any playoff win is always great as a sports fan. Richard giving his goodbyes to J-Lo. Cat, thoughts on guys like Darnold and Mayfield making resurgences in their career and kind of mimicking one another?
Yeah, and the strangest thing is Mayfield was the only one in Cleveland that did have success. He won a playoff game. That's the only playoff game they've won since they were reborn.
Free Bud Light, remember that? He came in on that night and they won a game, and free Bud Light for everybody.
They nearly beat Kansas City too, and had a bad call by the refs affect the game, which is not shocking to anybody. The Chiefs were involved in it. they still gave up on him, and then Carolina had them both, him and Darnold. And really, the common thread when you look at it is these are two lousy organizations. They've been bad. They've stayed bad. There was a time the Bucs were like that. That time is past now. And Baker went to the Rams for a cup of coffee. They're a well-run organization that kind of gave him a little jump start. Then he came here. We know how to run things. Darnold, he goes to Minnesota. They got a great coach, Kevin O'Connell. Has a great year. Now he's in Seattle, another well-run organization, and he's doing very well again. So again, sometimes it's just a matter of finding the right situation for these guys. That's really what a matter of what it is. You're usually going to go to a bad spot when you're drafted number one. I forgot to throw the Jets in there. That's where it started for Darnold. So yeah, I mean, a lot of times was he with the Jets? Yeah, to start, I think.
Yeah, he started with the Jets.
Yes.
Well, remember, I'm seeing ghosts.
The Jets and Carolina, you just, some of these guys, some of them, they play out their initial contract and you realize they're career backups or whatever, and that's fine. Mariota and Jameis come to mind. But then there's others where it's a matter of they get to the right situation, they get a better coach, they get a team that's willing to believe in them and, work with them, and before you know it, here they are. But, even you look here early on, Daniel Jones going from the Giants to the Colts. It's got Shane Steichen, looks like a coach that's in control, knows what he's doing. The Colts put a nice team together, and here he is.
And remember, Cats, to build off your point and what Richard's saying as well, to allude to coach, and Daniel Jones had to stop with O'Connell in between, who's very good with quarterbacks as well. So these guys seemingly go to a play like Carolina. You literally had Darnold and Mayfield at the same time. You had one playing scout team D, and you had both of them backing up P.J. Walker. Nothing against P.J. Walker, but what are you doing? That's just crazy. I'm going to leave it at that. But we are here live on the Buccateers. Tip of the cap to Mayfield and Darnold for getting their careers back on track. I am a fan of both, way more Baker, obviously, but I don't mind Darnold as a kid. He is a good kid, so happy to see him back on foot, but not this Sunday when the Bucs go into Seattle at Zach. Time to be determined. What the hell's going to happen, do you think, come Sunday? Because we know one thing's for sure. Both of those stadiums cannot hold, well, the parking lots for both of those stadiums, I should say, cannot hold the capacity that will be at the Mariners playoff game and the Bucs Seahawks game. So something has to give. But Zach, it's already almost Wednesday. Kind of concerning it's getting this late in the game.
Yeah, it is. And man, even if they do the baseball game at 1 and push the football game to 4, that traffic's still going to be a nightmare with people trying to transition out of one and into the other. So I don't know what they're going to do. I almost have a feeling that they're going to move it to an alternate location, but I don't even know where you would move it on this short of a notice.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, it's such short, not to compare the situation, obviously, but it's kind of like when a hurricane's coming last minute and you're worried, hey, where are we going to play? Will the team travel out early? But it's going to be crazy in Seattle. Maybe, though, in a weird way, maybe it benefits the Bucs and the Seahawks fans are distracted with the Mariners game, or maybe it might hurt the Bucs and they're going to be mad after a Mariners loss and come for vengeance. So, but it's crazy. Think about it like Ray J and like Steinbrenner Field, but even worse because Steinbrenner Field's only about a fourth of the size as the Mariners ballpark is. So it's going to be insane. I'm really thinking, Zach, like you said, they're either going to have to spread out the times. And I think I read today that you need 2 hours minimum in between game end and game start for the other one. So you're either going to have like a 1 a.m. Eastern and 1 p.m. Eastern and a 6 p.m. Eastern kickoff, maybe something like that. But we're either going to get a mini double Sunday night header, maybe, Cats, or maybe we'll get morning football. What do you think is going to happen?
Boy, I don't know if they would go for that, if they would be willing to start something at 10 a.m. their time. As far as maybe, I don't know. Don't move it to Monday night. I'll be very upset if they move it to Monday night. And in fact, that doesn't help Seattle either because I think they've got Jacksonville the week after. So both teams would be traveling across the country in a short week. Don't do that. Please, NFL, don't do that. They did play at the University of Washington, the Seahawks, while the new stadium was being built after they left the Kingdom. So I guess there's an outside chance of that. I guess that could be a possibility, maybe. I haven't heard that mentioned. I've only heard changing the time. I've yet to hear any mention of playing it at the University of Washington, but given that the Seahawks have played some home games there before, you can't rule it out.
Yeah, and I think, the only thing with the stadium change of location this late in the game, it would be mayhem for people with tickets to try and see, hey, new section, new seat number probably, but they're going to either have to change location or change time drastically. And I don't know if the city wants to put the Mariners in a baseball game that's probably 10 or 11 a.m. local time, whatever that might be. So we'll see. I'm sure baseball gets first dibs too, as it's their postseason opposed to the NFL regular season. So it wouldn't shock me if the Bucs kick off, let's say, about 7 Eastern, and it's kind of like the Monday night doubleheader where you get the hour in between kickoffs, the 7 and 8 Eastern. Now maybe on a Sunday night you'll get a 7 and 8 Eastern, which might be a treat to some people that don't want to watch Bills and Patriots.
But can you really go that late with other network scheduled programs and streaming factors? I mean, there's a whole lot of variables in this, and we haven't even talked about the tailgating aspects. I mean, people show up hours early for these things to, tailgate. So I mean, it's a logistics nightmare.
Nobody really prepped for the Mariners to get to the playoffs, I guess. So
It doesn't sound like it.
I mean, how do you let this happen, right? This is just one of those things that should have been solved by now. They should have had a backup plan in place, knowing this was a possibility way back when in August, but just crazy. It's going to be interesting to see how it unfolds. You guys both make good points, and Pat Donovan hinted that he's heard of possible relocation of the game as well. So it's going to be interesting. Time has to change of one of the games, or location has to change, and we know the Mariners ain't going to change out of their home park in a playoff game. So
I know a stadium that'll be empty on Sunday that they could probably put the game at.
Where's that? The Saints? No, I'm kidding.
Ray J, brother. Ray J will be empty. They just moved it down here.
We'll get another. Yeah, why don't we do that, actually? Hey, Seattle, come down here. We'll give your fans, well, not free tickets, but they could buy their tickets.
We'll honor them, yeah.
Yeah, we'll honor their tickets. We'll match it up with us. Don't worry about the heat. It's nothing to bear about. So, Katz, what say you on that idea?
Well, that might be tough. Although we've seen the NFL relocate games to neutral sites. Now, a lot of those times it's been in Southern California due to the fires. Mm-hmm. We've seen them relocate games to Arizona. I don't think. I don't know if Arizona's at home this week or not. I don't know. I suppose that could be a possibility. Arizona, maybe. I don't know if they're at home or on the road, or if they're playing at all. Same time zone. So, maybe the 49ers. I don't think the 49ers want to. Again, these are possibilities too, though. If the university, I just come up with University of Washington because they played there before. I'm not sure where that is in location. In as far as it's anywhere near Seattle, is anywhere near an airport? I don't know. I don't know where it is. But yeah, we've seen, like I said, I mean, if you're going to relocate games to Arizona due to California, and obviously those are very tough circumstances in multiple occasions due to fires in Southern California, I could see them saying, well, Arizona, you've done us a solid before. Can we do it again? That wouldn't shock me, really. Would it shock you?
No. And, the NFL always has a backup plan to maximize seats. If they think this is going to risk their ticket revenue or sales or anything like that, they're going to find out a way to make sure it doesn't. Roger Goodell is very good at one thing, getting every penny he can, which good for him, right? It's a great product. It's a great brand. Go get your money. So, hell, if you look at how many people love the sport. Good job. But at day's end, he ain't going to get cheated. He's going to make sure Seattle gets theirs somehow, some way, whether it's relocation or new time. Speaking of relocation and new time, we never relocate on a Tuesday with a new time. We're always here on a Me Up Tuesday, 6 Eastern. Today, 5 minutes late with the Cubs winning the playoff game, but kudos to that. And we have some new Buccaneers newcomers to welcome. As Pops text in, relocation makes sense. A lot of sense. Washington Stadium makes sense. So there you go, Zach. Pop's on board with your idea. And speaking of on board, new Bucs safety from Pittsburgh's practice squad, Sebastian Castro, UDFA out of Iowa, is set to replace Rashad Wisdom, Zach. And former Ravens cornerback Damarian Williams is set to join the Bucs practice squad. Real quick, before we get into these cats, a little brief background on each of these guys. Damarian Williams, 27 years old, was a 4th-round pick for the Ravens in 2022. Briefly spent some time with Seattle in 2024, becoming a free agent. Has 2 career pass deflections and 24 career total tackles as of 2023, so a little outdated there. And then Sebastian Castro hasn't played yet this season, but he's been on the Steelers practice squad, UDFA out of Iowa, spent from Iowa 2019 to 2024, so a little bit of an older rookie, so to speak, Zach. But newcomers in the secondary, one replaces Wisdom on IR, and one replaces Jones, a D lineman who went on IR from Baltimore.
Yeah, we injuries keep piling up. You got to make moves to field a practice squad. So I wish those guys the best of luck and the best of health. So it doesn't seem like the practice squad is immune from going on IR at this point either.
Yeah, and Richard says changing game time's way easier versus relocating a game. But as Zach said, it's easier in terms of physicality, the time, but it's more so the contractual agreements with the TV programmers, with the radio programmers, with the people who televise the game, right? So will they have the same time slot? What do they have to renegotiate? What do they have to re-wiggle, right? That's a lot of background motion behind the scenes. So I agree. It is easier for sure to just move times, but is that a possibility given to contractual television, radio, internet, other obligations? Not really sure. So we'll see. But I do think it ends up being a doubleheader for Sunday Night Football, about 5:30 or 6 o'clock Eastern, maybe 7 Eastern even, but a little later than normal will be Bucs Seahawks in my opinion, but it ain't going to be easy. Hopefully it impacts the crowd. Best case for the Bucs would be Mariners win. A lot of people get drunk, don't even bother coming to the football game, and keep your ass at home. And yeah, that would be great for the Bucs. But speaking of great, well, quick, Cats, thoughts before I'm getting ahead of myself now. What am I doing? But Cats, thoughts on the newcomers to this Buccaneers team? Damarian Williams, the former Raven 4th-round pick, and the UDFA out of Iowa, Sebastian Castro. And remember, Castro was signed off the Steelers practice squad, so he's elevated to the active roster to replace Rashad Wisdom, where Damarian Williams is heading to the practice squad.
Seems like the Bucs really like their Iowa players, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like you can't really go wrong with them from what I've seen. So welcome aboard. Hopefully, with the injuries to others, create opportunities for the new guys, and may they succeed in those opportunities.
Yeah, we'll see what happens, and I'm glad these kids are getting opportunities. But yeah, the Iowa trees blossom. Remember back in the day, Adrian Claiborne, that was really the start of the Iowa blossom. Then of late, we just keep attacking the Iowa tree, which is awesome. Jason Light has a type, and I like it, respect it. So we'll see if he even gets a lot of playing time or whatnot. Is he and should be back in the near future as well, one would think too. You never know with our injuries, I guess. So we'll see there. We just keep getting real bad luck with injuries. Speaking of the opposite of bad luck, a lot of people were doubting as El Monito joins us on Facebook. Thanks for watching, El Monito. Matt Kratz, friend of the program's, joining us on Facebook as well. Thanks for tuning in, whether you're on Facebook, YouTube. You can catch the replay on Apple, Spotify, Google Podcast, and so much more. But opposite of bad luck, a lot of people thought the Seahawks offseason moves would be bad luck. It's brought them really good luck so far, and they've played really competitive ball, Zach, 3-1. Sam Darnold seemingly an upgrade from Geno Smith to this point in time. A couple of other hard decisions they made, releasing both fonts they had, veterans at one point. That seems to be turning out well. So, Zach, the Seahawks team, ton of offseason changes, even moved on from their offensive coordinator after just 1 year this offseason. But they're 3-1 thus far, and their only loss is a 1-point loss to a one-loss 49er team.
Yeah, and they moved on from DK Metcalf, which was arguably their best offensive weapon, but that just gave way for JSN to take over that role. Yeah, they're a really sound team. They're a sure tackling team on defense. It's going to be a hard fought contest. This is kind of like the murderer's row section of the schedule for the Bucs. Each one of these games is very important, and we really need to find a way to win 2 out of 3 of these next ones so that we don't have a situation where we're playing from behind to try to win the division again. So this win in Seattle is it could be paramount to that, because then you got to split between the Niners and the Lions and not have to beat both of them. So it's really important.
And not only that, I know a lot of people overlooking it, and it should be an easy win, don't get me wrong, but then you'll have your biggest rival of all, the Saints, on a short week coming off Detroit Monday Night Football. You know the Saints fans are going to treat that like their mini Super Bowl. Maybe you'll see Tyler Shuck debut that day, even against a team like the Bucs. So you never know. I remember last year, Spencer Rattler's debut in New Orleans. We ended up blowing him out, but the first half, Saints were actually leading into the half, so you just never know. This is the toughest stretch by far. Every week it's going to be a gauntlet until we get to that bye week. Going to be a really big battle. And Cats, like Zach said, continues with the gut punch here in Seattle, 4:05, we think, Eastern time on Sunday.
Well, you really would like to go 2-1 in the next 3. It's not going to be easy. It's not the end of the world if you don't. If you win one of them and win the Saints game, you're still 5-3 at the bye, which you'll take, especially given the injuries. However, I'd like to have higher aspirations, certainly. And not having Mike Evans sucks. I mean, you can see it makes a difference. The thing is, he's not going to play forever. And really looking at this is a tough one. But I look at that Niners game, and yeah, they're coming off a long week, but they are as ravaged with injuries as we are, if not more. It seems like, so to me, that game, we've lost quite a few to them. There's no excuse to lose that one to the Niners. Not again. Last year we played them. They got a bunch of guys back. We got a bunch of guys hurt. That's clearly not going to be the case this year. Not for them. They're not. A lot of the cavalry's not coming back for them. Maybe we get Mike back early, maybe we get good news on some of these other injuries. But even so, that's a game the Bucs have to win, because it's getting tiring losing to them. This one is tough. Circumstantial advantages for Seattle, but obviously they're not a team that you say, you can't beat. They're a very good team, and I think the teams are pretty evenly matched. Plus the 3-point spread, if I'm not mistaken.
It is. And Cats, one last question I want to get to you quick. Thoughts on Liam Cohen's shenanigans with Robert Saleh after that game? More unprofessionalism from Liam, it seems.
I think both coaches acted poorly this week, to be honest with you. I don't know what Saleh was really trying to get at by saying, well, they're cheating, but it's legal. Like, I don't know. It seemed like a kind of backhanded compliment. And then, Shanahan says, well, they're cheating. We do it honestly. And then Cohen gets upset and acts like a fake tough guy. I thought it was a bad look for both sides, to be perfectly honest with you. And I don't, know exactly what the point was in Saleh doing that. I guess he's trying to get an edge. Ultimately, Jacksonville won a close game, but...
Well, remember Jacksonville screwed Saleh too, right? Remember he was lined up to go there and interview for the job, and they kind of snuck in Liam Cohen. And I'm not saying that's why, but maybe Robert Saleh just wanted to take a dig at the Jaguars because they took a dig at his career, let's be honest, right?
Yeah, that's true. He's waiting around, think he's going to get the job, doesn't get it, so he has to pivot back to the 49ers as a defensive coordinator. You never know if you'll get another opportunity to be a head coach. You very well may be right. It might be that simple. I'm not sure, and I can understand him being annoyed. At the end of the day, I thought it was a bunch of silliness. 2 grown men, 2 coaches going back and forth with each other. And then after the game, kind of reminded me of Dirk Cutter and Sean Payton, or
Good game.
Jim Harbaugh and Jim Schwartz. It reminded me of one of those situations, and it always seems silly after it all happens.
Yeah, I think Salah would have been better off just mentioning the Jaguars in particular instead of name dropping Cohen. But I think Cohen should have replied. Let's be honest, they could all get each other's numbers, text him or call him and say, bro, if you have a problem with how I handle things, come at me. I know emotions might be high right now. My biggest pet peeve is when you do that after the game and then you have Robert Hainsey, hold me back. It's like, dude. Robert Saleh would probably drop you like a fly. But anyway, Zach, Robert Hainsey getting caught up in the middle of the fun there with a possible AEW main event one day.
Maybe. But, to Cass's point, if it's legal, then it's not cheating. So why make the comment at all unless you're trying to take a dig at somebody? Secondly, we can't hold coaches to different standards than we hold players to. Right. If these were players acting this way on the field, it would be a bigger issue, it seems like. But it's unprofessional, and it's a hard line to act that way and then try to coach your players to not act that way when they just saw you do it. So as coaches, as leaders, you have to set the example and set a higher bar. So it's kind of disappointing on that stance from both of those gentlemen. But, if we're talking about who's throwing hands, Liam's got no chance. Salah's taking that all day.
Steel cage match. And maybe Salah was trying to take a dig at the NFL, too, because he mentioned, hey, sign stealing, maybe he's trying to say you guys got to look at this a little bit more. But regardless of the situation, it could have just been avoided completely by both gentlemen. And, if you're Salah, I don't even mind it, but you're stupid for saying that because you're just adding unneeded motivation to the game regardless. Who's going to like when you get made fun of, right? The Jaguars hear that their coach is getting made fun of. That's going to motivate them. So, just stupid mechanism by Salah there, although I do agree with Salah, and Salah would drop him in a heartbeat. You can't be doing that type of stuff behind the podium. It leads to theatrics, and Zach, you're right. Cleveland Me says you're right. What kind of example does that set for your team? Now you can't be mad if Trevor Lawrence goes out there and does that this Sunday. Maybe that's where Trevor Lawrence, we saw earlier, he did shove off Liam Cohen. Maybe that's part of what Jacksonville does there. Not saying against it, but B-Shuck in the house. Evening, kids. Evening, the great B-Shuck. We love B-Shuck, great friend of the show. So real quick before we get to final words, Zach, last thought, what ends up happening with the Bucs Seahawks game on Sunday? What do you think in terms of start time or location, brother?
Man, I think they're gonna. I think they'll push it. I think they'll push the time to try to accommodate the traffic and the other game. I don't think they'll push it to another night. I think they'll push it back. And if they're not able to push it back, then we might see a reload to Washington, University of Washington, like Katz mentioned earlier. But every day is closer and closer to the kickoff of that game. They really got to make a decision and put something out so these teams can start putting together some sort of a plan as to how they're going to get ready for this game.
Right, and Pop said Husky Stadium in Seattle, I looked, but even so, it might change hotel plans, right? You never know if you change your stadium that's 20, 30 minutes away, surely you might look into new, even if you don't change hotels, you'll surely need a team bus or two extra then for all the travel, logistics, all that stuff. B-Shuck, Bucs bounce back. I think so. Cats, last thoughts on location, time, stadium change, or what happens Sunday for what should be 4:05 Eastern kickoff, the Battle of 1976.
Yeah, my guess is they'll avoid relocating the game. I think what they'll do is they'll push the time back. Do you want me to answer Richard's question?
Yep. And real quick, remember the fun Mike James passing touchdown in Seattle years ago? We lost that game, but that was fun.
We did. The last two games in Seattle were lost in overtime. The last win in Seattle, believe it or not, was in 2009. That was Raheem's first year. The Bucs only won 3 games. Jim Mora Jr., you remember him, was at one point the Falcons coach, was a Seahawks coach for a very short time. The Bucs still beat the Seahawks in Seattle. That was one of their 3 wins that season. Previously to that, they defeated them in 1999 at the Kingdom, and that was en route to the 11-5 season where They beat the Seahawks 16-3. That was a good Seattle team. Bucs lost in the NFC title game. So they actually won 2 in a row in Seattle before dropping the last 2, both in overtime.
Yeah, and great job there we call him our historian, the great A-Cats, always speaking great knowledge here. Cleveland Me Cats, all the Bucs. Yep, right on cue. Bucs history knowledge. One other untalked about aspect, quick, Zach, you made a good point with TV radio deals earlier. Also broadcasters. We all know that they do multiple gigs, right? If you report on a sideline, you might be also covering a WNBA team who's still in the playoffs right now and need to do reporting for them. Some people double dip in the same day. So it's crazy. They have a lot to figure out. They're going to do it, surely, but you're going to have to make some calls, have some backups in place, whether it's a production side of things, a travel side of things, whatever the case might be. As the Bucs announce crew for this Sunday's game against Seattle is officially, don't worry, Cats, it's not your buddy Moose Johnson. Like you said, it's Kevin Harlan, accompanied by Trent Green and Melanie Collins. So pretty solid announce crew for the Bucs there. I know Cats is hoping for Moose Johnson, right, Cats?
Oh, Moose Johnson, talk about the game passing you by. Yeah, Kevin Harlan's fantastic. I can't, he's just fantastic. I've watched him calling play-by-play of the idiot running onto the field. Still is one of my favorite broadcasting moments. It was a terrible game, and he broadcasted that moment and managed to turn an awful game into something pretty fun to listen to.
Kevin Harlan, Marv Albert. I love their voices. They remind me of one another, too. Another one from downtown, yes.
Right between the eyes was always Kevin Harlan when he did the NBA, and I actually watched the NBA. Right between the eyes. He's just timeless. He's been doing this for so long, and he hasn't lost anything. He seems to me like he doesn't butcher names. He doesn't fall behind. He's just on top of everything.
Back when the NBA was actually fun to watch and watchable now, well, Cats, we'll get into our NBA history on one show. No, I'm just kidding. But NBA, back when it was fun, I still watch it. I'm still a Bulls guy.
I'm down for an NBA show at some point.
We do talk about it in the off season too, because we keep up with every sport here on the Buccateers. We don't neglect anything. We talk about chess, we talk checkers, we talk NASCAR. Well, we do talk maybe. We'll get into that in the off season, but we're here in the regular season, in the middle of the season, and we got playoff baseball on. Cubs win today. Zach, last words on announcer before final words. Do you really care who the hell's calling a Bucs game, or do you have any favorites out there?
And it doesn't really bother me too much. It does get under my skin when these guys get the players wrong. I mean, that's kind of like the whole core of your job is to get the guys' names right. But I don't really have any favorites. Like, everybody hates Collinsworth. I mean, I don't mind the guy. He's just doing his job.
I actually kind of like Collinsworth.
Yeah. He's all doing a job that most of us would kill for. So, I respect what they do. It's not an easy thing. A lot of times they're filling, especially on bad games, they're like filling dead air and trying to make a bad game seem interesting. So I don't really have any people that I really can't absolutely stand thus far. I will say I don't think our record's real good when Brady calls for us. So, that might be something, but it doesn't really bother me who calls the game.
Maybe keep him in Oakland, or I should say Vegas, right? Maybe keep him over there. He could announce all their games. Why not? He's their owner. No. Just bad luck there. We'll see if that changes real quick. I hate when they get names mixed up, and perhaps the worst of all time, I'll never forget Dick Stockton calling Tavon Austin Trayvon Martin. I remember, and it was like, dude, what are you doing here, man? Like, come on, bro. Like, I get if you accidentally say like Tyler Austin, you get one of the names mixed up, but to get the whole name completely confused, it's like, just a terrible look. But I think they made him retire shortly after that. So there you go.
I will say I have been a fan of Aikman really going after the officials lately.
Yeah.
It is nice for them to not like just kind of whitewash over that and justify these bad, horrible, horrific calls. Call a spade, and it has been refreshing to see that.
I do agree, and Troy Aikman is fighting for all of us, I feel like, when he's out there, because announcers really, as bogus as it is, really can't criticize refs. And he's doing that because they are garbage or horse shit every week, every game I watch. They're terrible. And usually people like us get punished for doing a bad job at work. These sleazeballs keep collecting $1 million paychecks and fricking screwing up on a weekly basis. I don't care. Make them full-time employees, whatever the hell the excuse is why they suck. You got to do something better because they're so bad. As the great Bill Belichick said, make every call challengeable, because still only have 2 challenges a game, right? But we're getting to the point where we're missing guys tugging on jerseys that stretch 10 yards long, and we're missing Bucky Irvin fumbles. But I could rant on all day about that. But it's final word time for the program before we talk into the game on Sunday. I could talk for 6 straight days. Katz, thanks for coming on, brother. Final words for the program, my friend.
Yeah, still encourage, you want to go 3-1 every quadrant, and then you got an extra game now. So you did go 3-1. When I heard of the injuries before the season, I think people said, "Oh, we'll take 2-2." I said, "No, this team's capable of going 3-1. Not far off from getting to 4-0, but so hopefully they can, step it up in Seattle. Start fast. I want to see a fast start. Even if you don't score on offense right away, don't let Seattle go and get an early lead and try to have another hole to dig yourself out of. That's really my key right now that I'm looking at first and foremost. Get off to a start where your defense gets a stop right off the bat, and stop letting the heading behind the 8 ball, because you saw 7-0 was one thing, 14-0, 21-3 is another. No matter who you're playing, because we see that this defense, they've started off slow, but they get into a groove then, and Bowles has done a great job with adjustments. He referenced it wasn't so much that, but the players just doing their job. Whatever it is, start faster on defense, because you see, if you start faster, he's very good at, most of the game they really have done a good job bouncing back from slow starts, so why not just cut out the slow start?
Cut it out, indeed. And I talked about that yesterday with JC Ellen on his show as well, on the Pirate Parlay podcast of the Sick Podcast Network. Go check it out. Me and JC agreed, though, Kat. Slow starts are killing us between special teams, red zone efficiency, and all that. I would say Grizz over Canales first month on the job there. But Zach, final word for you for the program, brother. Always a great time. Man Cave Monday, Tune Me Up Tuesday. A lot of great stuff we had this week.
Yeah, absolutely. The Man Cave shows are fun. We really like doing them, so please go out and support that. Like and subscribe to the channel so we can keep bringing you guys the content. I'm looking to protect the flats, cover the running backs out of the backfield. I can't stand to see a running back come out and there's not a Buc defender in 15 yards. Tackle. This used to be such a sure tackling team, and as of late, last couple of seasons, we haven't seen that crispness in the tackling. And, fast start, like Kat said, like I every game, opening drive touchdown. I'd just like to, it'd be encouraging just to see him do a 3 and out right off. I always like getting the ball, starting the game on defense. I just think it sets a better tone for us. So as soon as we got the ball in with the Philly game, I had a bad feeling already about it. So those are just the kind of things. I think it's a winnable game. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I don't know that there's going to be many blowouts this year for us, unfortunately. I think every game's going to be panic-stricken, anxiety-ridden, typical Bucs ball. So hang in there. Most of these games are won and lost in the fourth quarter. Try not to angry tweet during the first half and say things that you wish you didn't say, because those receipts are always out there.
Yeah, I remember someone quit the pod because they wanted Todd Bowles fired a couple years ago mid-season and disagreed with us and said we're idiots and they don't want to be in a pod. But, receipts last forever. Internet lasts forever, so be careful what you say. Can they just protect the kickers, please? I mean, yes, long snapping, special teams has to get better. To me, Thomas McGahee especially should be under a scope because every phase of the game is bad outside of Chase rebounding and returning. Our kickoff coverage is abysmal. Our punts are abysmal. Our kicks are abysmal. So let's clean up special teams and slow starts, and that should help us win close games instead of losing close games. With this one against Seattle will be a lot of fun. I'm hoping for the best. And as Zach said, I'm tired of seeing the running backs out of the backfield. They have Kenneth Walker and Charbonnet, so we can't let them do that. But fire the damn cannons. Go Bucs. Until next time, we're out of here. Have a great night. Peace. Bro, we'll put it like that.
Nice.
What's it like? I was actually there in attendance in Cleveland for Coe's first career NFL touchdown, which was awesome. And,
Awesome.
It was a great game. You could hear me on camera. I was just screaming, "Say it ain't so, Coe! Say it ain't so!" Sadly, from there, the game kind of went off the rails a little. That was the last high moment of that game, but it was a great game. Overtime loss, fun time. But how was that moment for you? Seeing the first, whether it was on TV, in person, wherever you were, seeing his first NFL touchdown. How was that?
Well, dude, I mean, we were at home because it was a away game. We don't travel to a lot of the away games because we can get into that later. But, to watch that and to think I wished I was there live. So to have your video was so cool. And just that, this is so cool. I mean, that was so cool for us. Catching it from Tom Brady, right? Like he's got the ball yet. First NFL touchdown means a lot, right? I mean, as a dad, that's just so cool to see. And it was fun to watch. And, it didn't have the outcome we wanted, but still the same. What a memory! What a memory to have, right? So,
and honestly,
cool.
those. One of the best guests ever, the Buccateers in the house tonight. You guys hear him on Tampa radio all the time. He's one of the best in the business. My favorite personal in the business. That's why I'm elated tonight. Growing up in the Chicago area, you're used to sports radio. That's what gets me through the day. So this man does help get me through the day, I will say, with the Pat and Aaron show at work. Nothing like it. So it's incredible. It looks like we got Stunna bumbling in. I'm Tampa Tones. We are joined by lead goon tonight, host of the Pat and Aaron show of WDAE, Pat Donovan. And it sounds like Stunna is bumbling a little bit. Going to put him on mute for a second until that gets a little cleared. But we're joined by Pat
It looks like
Donovan.
Stunna's hanging out with Cheech and Chong in a car with the windows up or something over there.
It does look like he got a little.
No, my camera's broke.
And he was trying to pull me in big time. And then I was like, dang, nothing's happened with Indianapolis yet. Like, I really want to give Indy a chance. And then also I talked to Cody Bruton, once he took over Rich McCann, was still like, well, look, I was like, y'all just give me the opportunity to explore free agency, see what's going on, and then kind of make us do it.
All right, everyone, you are tuned into the Buccateers at wide receiver, Kalen Geiger, and we are about to have a great pod. This is the Buccateers. You're tapped in, and here we go.